All right, guys. Kevin here again, and I'm here this time to do a video about the Zoom conference app that everyone's been talking about. So this is going to be a pretty deep dive into the features of Zoom and what's going to be really helpful for you guys as you think about using this for your youth group meetings, video conferences, small groups, and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so when you go to the Zoom website, obviously you can sign up for free. I'm going to go ahead and sign into my account. I have to sign in with Google. So you see in the interface, here are all of my meetings. Let's go ahead and schedule a new meeting. All right, so let's go ahead and name our meeting. We're going to go ahead and call this one Zoom Training. And then down here, you have some options with regards to when you're going to be scheduling it. Doesn't mean that the meeting can only start at that time. It's just for scheduling purposes. Again, if you click that it's a recurring meeting, you get other options in terms of how often these meetings are occurring. And again, these are just more for the scheduling aspect of it. You can have people register for your Zoom meetings if you want them to, if that's something you need. You can also have them require a password. So this would ensure that the only people that can join your Zoom meetings are people that have passwords. So far, honestly, we haven't been using either of these features. With regards to this video function, do you want the host and the participant to have the video conferencing available? Obviously, you want to keep that on. Zoom also allows you to call in to meetings using a telephone number. And again, this can be great for meetings, but I think if you're going to use this for hosting small groups, unless you know somebody doesn't have access to a computer, you're going to want to just leave it on both, or you can just leave it to computer audio so that only people who are joining via their computers with their webcams can join in. Meeting options. So this is going to be important. If you click Enable Join Before Host, that means that before you join into that particular meeting, people can be in there talking and hanging out if you want to enable that. You want to make sure that you click Mute Participants upon entry. What I've discovered is often people aren't there at the exact time that you need them to be. And so what that means is often people are fiddling around with their phones or their iPads as they're joining the call, or just making noise. And so this allows for people who are late to your meeting to be able to come in silently. And you as the host have the ability to mute or unmute them. Enable waiting room. This means that if you enable this goes ahead and creates a virtual waiting room where people can only come into the video conference if you go ahead and enable them to come in. I have not been enabling this only because there have been people who I wasn't paying attention necessarily to the participants, and so I didn't realize that people were waiting. And so it's better for me anyway not to have the waiting room opened. Again, only authenticated users can join. This is related to, again, how you want to be able to do the registration for this. Breakout room pre-assigned. So if you want to go ahead and have an organized larger group online and then have people who are your student leaders, let's say, pre-assigned to certain breakout rooms, you can go ahead and use this feature, and you can click on the create pre-assignment buttons, and so you can again call breakout room 1, and you can add the participants. So you can do this and add their email addresses. But anyway, so that's something that you can do, and then record the meeting automatically. So if this is something that you want to record, maybe it's a staff meeting that you want to record and send to other staff members who aren't able to make it to that specific recording. Right now, I'm just clicking on the computer for everything. If you have a paid account, you can record to the local computer and in the cloud. And so that basically means that you can just share the link that's in the cloud directly to people who haven't been able to attend the meeting. But so far I haven't really used that feature. I'm just recording everything on the local computer. And then you can create save, and what ends up happening is you get the links to add to the various calendars, and then there's also this nifty feature, copy the invitation, and if you click on that, this will give you everything you need to be able to copy and paste. All of the call-in information is here. You have the Zoom meeting link here, and for people who already have the Zoom app, they can just open it up and enter the meeting ID, and that'll also work as well. Aside from that, let's say you make a mistake, you can actually go to edit this meeting, and all of these options you can change. You can also save as a meeting template, so it makes it quicker when you want to make more meetings, so that all of these things are already good to go. All right, so that's an overview of the interface. Let's go on into the actual meeting itself. So I have here set up an example sample video call. So this is what the interface looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and walk you through all of the different things that you can do. So we'll go ahead and start here at the top. So if you would just go top to bottom, left to right, you have, again, myself, obviously, and then you have the other students. You have options here. When you hover over each of the little squares here, you can mute audio from here. There's also a mute button directly there. You can stop video. That'll turn off my video, but still keep me in the call. You can unpin the video. Right now it's pinned because I'm the main speaker here. Spotlight video means to go ahead and show it here at the top. I can rename myself, and I can also hide if I don't want to see myself anymore. You also have options for the other students that are going to be in these calls with you. In terms of being able to see everybody, there's a gallery view, and then there's a speaker view. So speaker view is whoever is talking or making the most noise will automatically pop up in this view that you see here. Gallery view means that you get a bird's eye view of pretty much everybody in the call. I believe these windows can go up to about 20, 25 people, and then you'll see kind of these blue buttons that appear on the side. If you have more than that, and you'll have to toggle through separate pages to be able to see everybody. So that's speaker view versus gallery view. On the right side here, this is what happens at the bottom when you click Manage Participants. So normally, when you first start a Zoom window, you don't have that sidebar, but when you click Manage Participants here at the bottom, the sidebar pops up, and you can go ahead and also manage who's on the call and what they're doing. Some of the options that you guys saw on the side here, they're all available here as well. One thing to note, if you're the one hosting the call, you're automatically, obviously, the host of the video. But I found that in larger video calls, especially if you're going to be using the breakout feature for small groups, it's not good if you're the primary youth leader or the youth worker to also manage all the things that are happening inside of the Zoom call as well. So if you have a separate, youth coworker or another teacher or a small group leader, you can go ahead and make them the host and give them the ability to manage some of the participants, such as muting and unmuting and things like that. So again, if someone's making too much noise, you can go ahead and mute them. If they can't seem to unmute their mic themselves because they don't know where on the interface they're looking, you can go ahead and click mute and mute them. Or unmute them. And then you also have, again, these options, and one of the options that you have is make host. So if you make that person a host, they can continue to stay on the call even if you have to log off. They can also rearrange the breakout rooms and manage the students for you. You can also allow hosts to record. So if you want other people to be able to record the window that you're in, that is also okay. Again, please keep in mind that anytime you're doing anything where you're recording students, you need to have the necessary liability forms filled out or the permissions filled out from parents. So just keep that in mind as well. Also, and this is one of those best practice things, you're going to want to make sure when you give your students instructions for how to join a Zoom call with you, that you have them actually write down their names when they enter into the Zoom call. So again, when you first log on to a Zoom link, you have the ability to go ahead and give yourself a name. Otherwise, Zoom will just go ahead and choose a default name. It'll usually be the name of the mobile device that they're on, but they do have the ability to do that. And again, if you have someone else who's a leader doing that as managing your participants, this is something they can go in and they can just rename. And so I can rename student 3 to the most generic Korean name I can think of, which is John Kim. And so now John Kim is on the call and we know exactly who he is. So that's something that's pretty powerful and pretty useful. You also have here at the bottom the universal buttons to mute everybody and unmute everybody. Again, if you click more, let's see if I can show this to you. Again, if you click more, you have these other options as well. Muting participants upon entry. allowing participants to unmute themselves. You definitely want to be able to do that. Play a chime for when people enter and exit so that you know whether or not people are coming in and out. Also, another best practice that you want to keep in mind is that you want to instruct everyone to wear headphones as much as possible. That's going to prevent a lot of the echo that's coming from certain people's laptops that don't have the speakers and mic that have echo cancellation. I'm not wearing headphones now because I'm not actually speaking to anybody else. But generally speaking, when I'm on a call, I'm definitely wearing headphones. And so playing a chime for enter and exit, again, this is useful for the host so that they know who's coming in and out of the rooms. And this is going to be a really helpful feature when you're in a breakout room, and I'll show you that in just a bit. And then lock meeting just means that people can't come into the room once the call has actually been started. Okay, so that's the participant side. So again, you can have invites also. So let's say there's somebody that needs to come in and they're like, what do I do? Where can I get the invitation? You can go ahead and choose one of these services and send them an invitation right from the call itself. So again, left to right. So you have a universal mute button here in the corner. You also have the ability to set your speakers, your input and output devices, test speakers, things like that. You also have the video option if you want to turn off your video. And again, you can also go and use fun features like choosing a virtual background. Right now, I don't have any because my device is not that interesting. On mobile devices, they have a bunch of default videos that you can stick in there. And then you can also select desktop pictures and stuff. And so that's fun for a lot of students to do. Okay, you have also here at the bottom a share feature. And so if you click the share feature, it'll allow you to be able to share another window that's on your screen. So let me drag this in. So I have a Keynote file that has a Bible verse on it. And this will allow me to be able to tell people that this is a Bible verse that we can read together, or if this is a Bible study that you're running online, you can go ahead and show these slides. And the way that works is you click the share button. And the share button will actually show you all of the different desktops you have and all the different windows that are open. And so you can go ahead and click on the Keynote file specifically, and then it will only share that Keynote file. So you'll notice that my desktop has disappeared. You'll see here that let's see. Okay, so this is what actually appears when you share a file. And this is a little strip that shows you the video elements that are going on. But really what everyone is seeing is they're seeing your Keynote window. And so when you hit play, and so for example, on an iPad, you have the Keynote window. And when I advance the slides on my desktop, it also advances for the video meeting as well. And so this is one way that you could do lyrics. You could do, again, Bible passages. You can show static images and video, but you can't actually show audio through. So you can't do watch parties, unfortunately, through this. It's also, your internet connection has to be really, really, really strong in order for this feature to work well. So just keep that in mind. So that's the screen sharing feature. So you can go ahead and turn that off. All right, so that is the screen sharing feature. For the chats, again, this is a little chat box that comes up. If your chat window is closed, and someone types a message, there's a little orange pop-up that's here at the bottom. You can click that and you can see the text message window there. Pause and stop recording, obviously. These are features for when you're recording the conversation. Okay, so let's talk about the breakout room feature. When you click the breakout room feature, you actually see a window that looks like this. And so you'll see that you can assign 3 participants into 2 separate rooms. You can have it be automatic or manual. If you do manual, that means that you'll be telling each person what room they go to. So you can create the rooms, and there's 2 rooms here. So I can assign, let's say, John to one room, and then I can assign student 1 and 2 to the other room. And then when I click open all rooms, the people in each of the chats will see a little invite pop up. And that invite then, they can go ahead and join. So when they join these rooms, and I'm going to go ahead and join the rooms here, you'll see that a little notification basically saying that everyone has joined the specific rooms that they're a part of. And so what I'm left with is there's no more people in my room because I'm in quote unquote the main room. And so from the main room, I can go ahead and click these buttons to join each of the rooms. So if I join John's room, this is what it'll look like. and I can click yes. And then notice the closes and it pops back up. There we go. So now I'm in a breakout room with John. And again, if I want to go back to the main room, I can leave the breakout room actually. So I'm going to go ahead and return to the main session. Okay, so now I am in the main session here, just to fill this out here. And if I click on breakout rooms again, I can go ahead and continue to manage the rooms. I can also send a message to everyone. So hello everyone, the room will be closing in 10 minutes. And then I can broadcast that. And then there will be a little message that pops up on each of the screens that shows everybody when that's happening. And then when I close all of the rooms, basically everyone gets the rooms closed immediately. That's a setting that you can change. I want to show you the options that you have. So right here at the bottom, it says options. So for the breakout rooms, you can have people move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. That means they don't have to click join. They can just be sent to those rooms when you click open all rooms. It's up to you. This is something that you can choose to do. Allow participants to return to the main session at any time. This is potentially useful if you're going to be in the main session and you want to have the ability for people in breakout rooms to be able to pop back out, ask you a question real quick and pop back in. Breakout rooms close automatically after, and so you can go ahead and set this. So if you want to be able to have, let's say in the main room, some sort of teaching that you're going to be able to do, maybe it's 5 or 10 minutes long, and then you're going to send everybody into breakouts and they can discuss a discussion question for maybe another 10 to 15 minutes. So you can go ahead and set this for 15 minutes so that after 15 minutes, you don't have to set a timer for yourself or whatever. They'll just automatically come back into the room. And again, you can click on this to notify when the time comes up. And then countdown after closing breakout room. So if you want to give people a warning that their breakout room is about to close, you can go ahead and click this. Generally speaking, I've been using the 1 minute mark just to give everybody a minute for them to share a thought or close a thought before the room automatically closes and everyone comes back into the main room. You could also have the rooms be automatically reassigned. So you can have if you want to create breakout spaces where the students are kind of rotating in different ways, you can just have that be done automatically. Recreate the breakout rooms, and then you can go ahead and open all of the rooms. You could also, let's say that John Kim is actually a leader that I would like to put into the other breakout room. So rather than him being in breakout room number 1, I want him to be in breakout room number 2. I can actually click move to, and I can have him be moved to another room. And so he'll automatically be moved to breakout room number 2. So that's also something that you can do. So the crazy thing is you can't do all of this really while you're also doing the teaching. So it's a really good idea to assign another youth leader the ability to have hosting powers so that they can do all of this stuff behind the scenes on the fly while you're focused simply on teaching. That's going to be a huge thing that I recommend. With regards to other best practices, I think there's a couple other things that you want to keep in mind. With regards to naming, so I want you to imagine for a second that this list on the right side is a row of just 60, 70, 80 names if you're hosting a really, really big group. And what ends up happening is it's really, really difficult to see at a quick glance who the leaders are and how they need to be assigned. So let's say you were doing the breakout room feature and this was just a long list of names and you needed to create everyone automatically and you wanted to restructure everybody. It's really difficult to see the leaders at a glance. And so one of the things you can do is you can tell the leaders, or again, if you have somebody that's a host that can do this, you can have them rename all of the leaders to include a percentage sign or a, the money symbol or just something or a hashtag that makes it really simple to see that the leaders all have this symbol in front of them. So that's going to be helpful when you're assigning breakout rooms on the fly. Another thing you could do is you can quickly have students, when they come into the room, rename themselves so that maybe some identifying marker like some ninth grade girls or something, and that would identify them pretty quickly so that you can have the host, whoever has the ability to organize your breakout rooms, very quickly know who needs to go where. So that's something that you could also do. I would tell and remind students that they need to have headphones on. Again, that's going to be helpful for minimizing the noise. Another thing you're going to want to mention to students is that they should have a full battery or have an extra battery on hand. Zoom conference calls do eat up mobile devices' battery pretty quickly, so you're going to want to keep that in mind when you send out an invitation to your students. Try to have them be against the wall, or at least really close to a wall where there's not a lot of things happening behind them. Those end up being pretty big distractions, and we're in a place where a lot of different videos, video backgrounds on the screen can offer a lot of visual eye candy, but it can also offer a lot of distractions as well. So if you have a student, let's say, that's doing the Zoom call at a dining table, and you can see the whole dining table and living room and all that stuff behind them, it's going to be better for that student to turn around so that the camera's facing a wall behind them to minimize any movement and other things that can be distracting. And the same goes for you as well. So if you're hosting a call, you're going to want to be against a background that's not moving, so that it's easier for people to really focus in on you. All right, so one of the more important questions that we need to really talk about is whether or not it's worth paying for Zoom. So as of last week, Zoom was announcing that they had waived the 40-minute limit for schools and other organizations that need to stay connected. But I think it was pretty clear as the week went on that their servers were being overloaded, and so they went ahead and reinstated the 40-minute limit for free accounts. And that 40-minute limit is pretty crazy because it just kind of stops the call when you hit that limit. And so I think right now at this point, it is worth paying for the $15 a month to get an account that doesn't have those limits. Zoom has been a pretty great tool for connecting and creating environments where people can talk to each other and see each other. And so I think as a ministry expense, at this point, it's pretty clear that it's going to be worth it, especially because we don't know how long this quarantine is going to last. We don't know how long safer at home mandates are going to last for those of you guys in those states that have enacted those. And so it's going to be really, really crucial that we be able to have the ability to connect with students. And so I'm actually at this point strongly urging ministry leaders to consider paying for the 15-minute limit, at least for the youth workers, because it's our job to connect with our students. And so I think it's going to be really important for us to be able to do that. For our volunteers, I think a 40-minute limit is pretty reasonable. You can do a lot within the bounds of the 40-minute limit. You don't have limits in terms of like how many people can participate. So a small group of less than 10 students can easily do a 40-minute call really quickly. If they really need to connect longer than that, they can set up 2 meetings simultaneously back to back. So when one ends, they can go ahead and click on another link and go ahead and start up another meeting right away. Otherwise, for those of you guys who have a lot of youth leaders, again, if it's every single leader needs to pay for $15 a month, that really stacks up. In terms of account sharing, it's possible for you to do that, but just be mindful that really only one person can be hosting a meeting at the same time. So for a lot of ministries, that's definitely not going to be viable. So that's something to think about as well. Okay, so what kind of meetings can you do? So with regards to some of the things that I've been able to experiment with, I found that prayer meetings online are actually really, really deeply encouraging. So the way that I've been setting it up is that I've been asking students to share prayer requests. So for example, we'll have student 2 share a prayer request, and then I'll pick on another person in the group chat to go and have some time to pray for that person. So what I'll do is I'll ask student 1, can you pray for student 2? And so student 1 will pray out loud for student 2. And then I'll ask student 1, okay, so is there something that you have that we can pray for? And then I'll ask John Kim to go ahead and pray for student number 1. And so we'll do that, and we'll create a chain of that. So this is a great opportunity for your students to be trained in sort of how to pray out loud for people, how to pray out loud for your ministry, for church, for the world, for the country, whatever prayer requests that you guys have and prayers that you're praying together. Okay, with regards to online Bible studies, a couple things to keep in mind. Utilizing your PowerPoints and your keynotes is going to be really helpful. Again, you can use the screen share feature to go and take advantage of that. That's going to be really helpful for keeping students' interest. If you have a lot of people that are in the group, so if you're doing, let's say, gallery view, this tends to be my view. This tends to be the view that I want to keep an eye out on because I want to be able to see all of the students. But if you have gallery view, one of the things you can do is you can mute everybody, and then if they want to answer a question or if they have a question, just ask everyone to raise their hand and go ahead and put their hand as close to the camera as possible. So even if these gallery squares are really, really small, it's going to be easy to see when somebody puts their hand up. So you can go ahead and unmute them, call on them, and go ahead and do it that way. It creates an orderly discussion versus people just kind of talking all over each other. And again, because especially if you're wearing headphones, you're going to be sensitive to everyone else's noise. It's going to be good to go ahead and keep things muted. The other thing that you're going to want to keep in mind is that there's features to do things like hand raising. So let's say somebody uses that. This is what it looks like. A little hand symbol comes out in the corner. A little hand symbol comes up here. If I'm honest, though, that symbol is pretty small and it's pretty subtle, which is good in one sense. But again, when you're dealing with youth students, I think it's better to just have everyone physically raise their hand. They can even do things like cover their microphone, and that makes it really clear that there's been some big movement that's happening in their little square in gallery view. So that's going to be helpful too. All right. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that this gives you an idea of the power of Zoom and some of the things that it can offer. Again, please reach out if you guys have any questions or if there's more things that you guys want to know about in terms of video ministry. God bless you guys. Continue to do the good work of connecting with your students. Again, as this continues to last longer and we don't know when the end will be, it's going to be really, really important for them to see your face, for them to hear your voice, for us to be able to host prayer meetings even over Zoom as well. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.